Hey everybody, welcome back to the Old Man Van Running channel. Today I'm going to give you my first impressions of the Hoka Arahi 5 mild to moderate stability daily trainer. This shoe is an update to last year's Arahi 4, which I tried. I didn't review it because I wasn't on YouTube back then, but which I tried and I really wanted to like. It was a really good shoe, I thought, except for the fact that I was getting hot spots and blisters under my arches. So I was really interested in trying out the Arahi 5 to see if Hoka made improvements in that area. So I'm really interested to get started. Let's get out on the trail and see how this shoe performs in my first run in it. Hey everybody, out here on my first run in the Hoka Arahi 5s. So far, pretty impressed. First thing I'm noticing is the level of cushioning. It seems almost similar to the level of cushioning in the Glycerin GTS 19s from Brooks. More cushioning than last year's Arahi 4 version. So that's a pleasant surprise. Upper feels really comfortable. Shoe feels true to size. It's very light compared to the other two shoes that I reviewed recently, so pretty happy so far. Let's get some more miles in it. So halfway through this first run in the Hoka Arahi 5s. A couple other observations real quick. Real nice cushioning. I don't feel that J-frame, that firmer material in the midsole like I would for, say, a medial post. So pretty impressive that they're able to keep the cushioning along with that stability feature. The midsole material itself doesn't feel that responsive compared to the DNA Loft, but the early stage meta rocker in the Arahi 5 gives you a real smooth transition through the gait cycle and through toe off. So that gives it the responsiveness that maybe the midsole doesn't have. Really good lockdown with the laces and in the midfoot and heel. So very happy with the first run in the all new Hoka Arahi 5. Okay, so we're back. Let's go into some of the details on this shoe. First of all, this is a pretty well cushioned trainer. It's got a stack height of 36 millimeters in the heel and 31 millimeters in the forefoot. So that's pretty thick midsole material, right? It's got a 5 millimeter heel to toe drop, which I really like because I've been trying to reduce the heel to toe drop over time. You know, I started out in the Brooks Adrenaline GTS series, which is a 12 millimeter heel to toe drop. Pretty significant. So then I went down to the Brooks Glycerin GTS 19, which is a 10 millimeter heel to toe drop, and the Saucony Guide 14, which is an 8 millimeter heel to toe drop. The 5 millimeter heel to toe drop in this shoe, although it sounds like a huge difference, I think because of the amount of midsole material here and also the early stage meta rocker, I didn't really notice it when I was out there running. So that's a real good thing. So let's start with some of the numbers. I mentioned the stack height already, 36 millimeters. I mentioned the heel to toe drop, 5 millimeters. From a weight perspective, this is a very light shoe for a stability daily trainer, especially one with so much midsole material. You want to guess how much this weighs? Well, I'll tell you. 9.6 ounces in a men's size 9. That's crazy. The Saucony Guide 14, which I told you felt pretty light on the foot, was 10.5 ounces in a men's size 9. And the Brooks Glycerin GTS 19, which I also told you felt, didn't feel too heavy, was 10.7 ounces in a men's size 9. So this is amazing for a shoe with this much midsole cushioning in it. Question's gonna be,
is the weight reduction, does that sacrifice durability? That's something I can't tell you after a couple of runs. That's something that's going to have to wait till the 50 plus mile, 100 plus mile, and maybe 200 or 300 plus miles. So now let's go over some of the details with the shoe. I'll start with the upper. This upper is extremely comfortable. Very soft engineered mesh. You see the perforations for breathability. Can't speak to that too much yet because I haven't really had a chance to run in real hot or humid weather. But man, really soft and comfortable, consistent with the other shoes I've reviewed. Seems to be where a lot of the running shoes are going, to much softer uppers that don't require a lot of break-in. So I'm really happy with that. Toe box, plenty of room there for my toes to splay, which is always important. But it wasn't overly spacious, meaning it wasn't too roomy that I felt like my feet were swimming around in there. Good job, Hoka. Going around kind of the midfoot, I'll turn it around a little bit. Usually, well, in my experience on stability shoes, tend to have a lot of 3D overlays in the midfoot to add some structure to it. Not so much on the Hoka Oni Arahi 5. I do believe that's a product of just the way the footbed sits in the Hoka shoes. They kind of sit kind of cradled into the midsole instead of on top of the midsole. So I think, you know, that eliminates the need to have so much 3D overlays, and that in and of itself will also reduce the weight. Looking at the collar, ankle collar and heel collar, very well padded, not quite as well padded as in the GTS 19, but that's okay. Plenty enough padding there. You've got a nice flare at the Achilles on the heel collar. I don't typically have issues with my Achilles rubbing or getting blisters, so I can't really tell you how effective the flare is. I didn't notice it, so that's a good thing. So, hey, you know what? If it does its job for other folks, that's great. Looking at the tongue on this shoe, another well-padded daily trainer tongue. I really like it. It's gusseted, doesn't move around too much. I also like, at least on first impressions, the Ortholite sock liner in the Hoka. Very comfortable. Again, it kind of sits into the midsole instead of on top of the midsole. What I was really impressed about is I did not feel a single hot spot while I was running in this shoe. Whatever they did around the midfoot here and around the arch area eliminated, at least for me, the hot spot that I was getting in the Arahi 4, and which was causing me arch-related blisters on both feet. Kudos! Now let's get to the laces. You know, I've talked about laces, right? Saucony Guide 14, too stretchy. Took me a lot of attempts to get it perfectly locked down. Glycerin GTS was much, much better, less stretch to them, and much easier to just get a nice lockdown first time out of the box. Same thing here with Hoka. There is a slight amount of flex, but not much. They're flat laces, which I tend to like because they tend to stay put once you tie them down. I was able to get the lacing just right, get a really good lockdown right out of the box. Only one little problem, however. These laces are friggin' long. Look at how long these laces are. I'll tell you, in the Brooks Glycerin GTS 19, love those laces, but they were too short. These are way too long. I think, you know, come on, Hoka, cut them maybe about here. Come on, happy medium, and they would be perfect. That being said, again, I was able to lock these down perfectly the first time out, so good job with the lace type. Just make them a little shorter. Looking at the heel counter, nice and stiff heel counter, typical for a stability daily trainer. Nice structure there, locks the heel down really well. I really like it. Look at the wide base on this shoe. Again, that helps with stability, plus with your foot kind of cupped into the midsole, that helps the stability as well. Looking at the outsole, plenty of blown rubber everywhere you need it. That's really good. Question on durability, again, we'll have to see in those higher mileage reviews. Talking about the stability features on this shoe, Hoka uses what they call their J-frame technology. And as you see this gray midsole material here, that's a little bit firmer than the rest of the midsole material. If I turn it over, you can see it starts here on the lateral side of the shoe, right under here, kind of the midfoot or close to the heel, moves its way around the outer edge of the heel, across the medial side of the foot, almost all the way up to the forefoot. So there is your J frame. So my concern was that that would create too firm of a feel underfoot. But what I'll tell you is, I didn't get that feel at all. In fact, I was amazed at how soft this midsole material is, even with all of this J-frame firmer midsole material built in. I did not feel like my feet were being forcefully controlled. I felt this midsole was very soft. Not marshmallowy soft, because that's a problem if it is, but very soft. Much softer than the Saucony Guide 14. And I would say pretty close to on par with the softness in the DNA Loft and the Brooks Glycerin GTS 19. It's very impressive. And the fact that it's got so much more midsole material, that's a real positive thing. Another thing about the midsole material is, because it wasn't too squishy or marshmallowy, I didn't feel like, even with that stack height, that I had this big block of squishy foam underfoot. That's a good thing. I didn't feel like my foot was kind of wallowing around in this real squishy mess. I didn't feel like the midsole material on this shoe was as responsive by itself as that in the Brooks Glycerin GTS 19 or even the Saucony Guide 14. Where I felt that this shoe was still responsive, however, was in the early stage Meta Rocker. My previous experience with the Hoka Meta Rocker system is in the original Hoka Carbon X. That had a pretty substantial early stage Meta Rocker. In fact, first couple of times out running in that, I could really tell that my foot was almost like falling off a cliff through toe off. Not so with the Hoka One Arahi 5. It's an early stage Meta Rocker. It's not as pronounced, but what I felt was not so much, again, the pop from the midsole material, but what I felt was a very smooth toe off. So how am I going to rate the Hoka One Arahi 5 after my first couple of runs? Well, I am going to give this shoe a 9.5 out of 10. Couple of reasons for that. A, cushioning is spot on. Really like it, really comfortable, not too firm. The control is unintrusive, so I don't really feel like I'm being overcorrected, and I really like that as well. I think it's responsive enough. That early stage Meta Rocker makes up for the lack of responsiveness in the midsole material. So I thought that was really good. So, hey, it did what it was supposed to do, and I felt I could pick up the pace a little bit. I really like the laces. The laces, albeit a little bit too long, I took a little bit off because of that. Still gave me a really good lockdown. I think the shoe is true to size, which is important. Plenty of room in there without being too spacious. And I got a real nice lockdown in the midfoot and the heel, which was really good. I think this is a shoe, and another reason why I give it a 9.5 stars is I think as long as the midsole holds up and the durability of the outsole, this is a shoe that I can run anywhere from a short run through 20+ mile runs with no problem. Big question is going to be durability. That's something we're going to test out going forward. So thanks for sticking around and watching this review. I really appreciate it. And you know, I would really like to get comments, good or bad. If there's something I can do to improve my reviews or my channel, please feel free to comment below. Hey, and down there is the like button. I'm all for thumbs ups. But hey, if you want to give me a thumbs down, that's okay. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy my other videos. Hope you're interested in seeing more videos on this channel. If so, by all means, hit the subscribe button as well. So remember, lace up your shoes and let's get out on the roads.